So, summer term is here. It is episode 7 of the Teacher Squad podcast with Heather Wright and Jane Considine. She's Heather Wright and I'm Jane Considine.
And we're going to be talking about manifesting and manifestos.
Oh, definitely. And I'm a bit worried because only 53.6% of pupils enjoy writing at primary school.
We got to do something about that. I'm going to be thinking about why small parcels and murder are good for the classroom.
And guess what, Heather? I have burnt something on holiday, but I'll tell you about that later.
Hope it's not too flaky.
Heather, have you manifested anything else this week? Because you are a demon, aren't you? You've just like sending things out to the universe and it's all happening.
Well, do you know what? Last episode when I said, bring on the election, and then that day, I think it was announced. That I wish I could do it in other areas of my life, like bring on the lottery win. But it's
it was incredible. Wow. Yeah, you really did rattle at the universe then and make some magic happen. Absolutely stunning job, girl. Love that. So there's a lot to think about, isn't there? And we really do need some manifestos in our hand, don't we? So that we can start, ripping them apart and looking closely. Because we know it's not working where we are, and some things have definitely got to change, and they've got to change for the better, and to take teachers with the change so that we don't tip over the edge. 83% of us suffering from work-related stress. So, you've got to look after us because, we're on the edge, aren't we, Heather? Just a tad.
Yeah. Just a tad, especially when we're at the summer term and we're just focusing on the light at the end of the tunnel. But it'd be interesting to read the manifestos there in black and white and have a good look at, what each party is saying and suggesting, because it really feels like we're at the bottom and we need to be on the up for our profession and our kids. They need it, don't they?
Yeah, and I don't know if I went to the theatre yesterday to watch. I know, on a Monday, a bit unusual, and went to see Keith from the Throwdown Pottery programme. And,
I love Keith. Did he cry?
Yeah, just a little bit. And his wife Marge was interviewing him, and he did some live pottery pieces, and he even did some sculpture. Which was a bit unusual. It was like a depressed elephant sort of penis thing. But
phallic. I was going to say, was it phallic?
It was. But he was really bigging up teachers, and that's actually what made him cry. And he was calling out to the universe himself about trying to lasso and give time to creative subjects. And, are we spending enough time on music? Well, yeah, we probably know the answer to that, pottery, and all sorts of enriching subjects. And you and I know, Heather, the minute we put measures in place and schools are going to be held accountable to testing and measures, then everything gets squiffed and manipulated towards that. So, like if we went in and measured, if there was a national measure for teacher stress, then that would get prioritised. If there was a national measure for gallery pieces that children produced, then that would get prioritised. So we know the thing with the examination and testing system, it's so high stakes in terms of how it goes back and manipulates the curriculum. So we have to really think about that, don't we? In terms of, it's not just curriculum stuff. We need to think about, what we are going to measure, and do we need to import more softer measures into the school system, around creativity and happiness, because this would make a big difference, I think, to the climate and culture of schools.
And we need the arts more. It feels like the times that we need the arts are when it's squished the most. Actually, we need the arts for people to express and to speak out, and to it sounds a little bit like a Miss World and I want world peace, but it is that that voice about making the world a better place. The arts is just so necessary for that. We, as humans, we need to find our way to express ourselves, don't we?
But, that sort of more rounded whole child approach. So let's have we're sort of beady-eyed and waiting. We went up to try and visit the Labour battle bus on Sunday in Northamptonshire, but we missed Angela Rayner by about 5 minutes.
You missed the bus.
Quite literally.
Don't worry, another one comes soon.
And we were there to say, we wanted to corner her a little bit about some nitty gritty educational ideas, but that's the next phase, isn't it? And the minute they're announced, we will definitely be unpicking them, won't we, Heather?
Yeah, absolutely. And our email addresses: Jane@theteachersquadpodcast.com, Heather@theteachersquadpodcast.com. Please get in touch with us if you're, hearing things from your MPs and suggestions, and it'd be good to have a good old chinwag about that. But have you got anything to be grateful for, Jane? We've had half term. Have you got any half term happies?
Yeah, I have actually. A very last minute, I jetted on a plane to an island just off Spain, one of the Balearics. It wasn't the cool one. I actually went to Menorca and hung around Magaluf. Don't ask me, but actually there was some bougie bits, and we hired this ramshackle Jeep with a dodgy gearbox, and there's actually quite a lot of hill climbs and rocky coastline, very rugged, and we had to try and, oh my god, this Jeep, and it's beginning to roll back when the handbrake doesn't work, so there's some few scary moments. But we went right up into the hills and watched the sunset, and that was just stunning, and I had a little cry. That could have been the rosé, don't know. But, it was
combination.
A bit of combination, and I've come back. I'm just full of cold, a bit sorry for myself, and
summer snots.
Summer snot, and a flaky bum because I burnt my arse. But other than that, have you got things to be grateful for, Heather?
Yeah, not as extravagant as that, Jane. My half term was on a shoestring, really, and we were just focusing on more the local things. But nice that my daughter has got into reading on the beach with me, which is just gorgeous. Mummy, shall we go and read at the beach? And I'm like, yes. It's just nice. A bit of sand between your toes, and your nose in a book. That's nice. And also we went to a different beach. Mr. Reading Rock said, shall we go? And he always likes to look for different places and follow little surf groups and different things. And I didn't ask too many questions. He just said, this is a nice beach and it's lovely. And we parked in this little quirky car park thing. And then it was like all the way down. And you think, it's beautiful, but getting back up. And I forgot my inhaler. So,
God,
so it was lovely down on the beach, And we are, just a little sit there and a little read and a little paddle, and just enjoyed it. Very nice. And then slowly, it was worth walking back up and, nearly having an asthma attack. But it was,
You made it.
it was good. It was good. Yeah. I mean, some people who follow me on socials might have seen that I was a bit stressy last week. I'm still a bit stressy.
Yeah.
I love reading rocks, but sometimes, running your own business is a bit stressful and a bit kind of hairy in the old finance department sometimes, but loads to be grateful for. And I try and keep that mantra of focusing on the good stuff and, getting outside and doing some nice things and
Yeah. Oh, you
keep
have
moving
to,
forward.
and I think the thing is about the own business aspect of it. It can just swallow you up. You can just actually feel like an absolute workaholic, can't you? It's just the list, and it's so much to do. After this, I'm driving up to Grimsby to teach all day on the back of the Ofsted report saying non-fiction is a weakness, and going to teach non-fiction all day. And then it's kind of a stark reminder that, oh my God, do I know enough about Darwinian theory and the pebbled moth during the Industrial Revolution? Probably not. Do you know what I mean? It's just a reminder about how much subject knowledge, in primary we have to have. It's just like, oh my goodness, So if you're doing the Mayans or Darwin, it's just like, what, and when I'm working in schools, it's like I can't keep relying on the same curver box. It's like, oh, what's in me Industrial Revolution box? Nothing. Damn it. That's what
the
they want.
topic boxes. Oh, did you see? There was I think I must have seen it on X at Mary Myatt. You must follow Mary Myatt.
Yes,
and
I've seen a speech. It's amazing.
A bit of research about subject knowledge and the importance of that for reading.
Yes.
And what we know already, that that is what makes the difference, that actually children from vulnerable backgrounds or whatever, their comprehension is there. It's just the lack of subject knowledge. So make sure your curver box is full of stuff so we can fill their little brains with lots of that information to help them.
Absolutely, and that Mary Meyer information reminds me of the What Makes Great Teaching report. The international report that collates all the science of learning from around the globe. Basically, the upshot of that report is, to be a damn good teacher, we've got to work kind of in the here I am on some maths language, subject knowledge not very good, but on the indices of a Venn diagram, right in the heart there, where we've got, I know, look at me, we've got to have amazing subject knowledge, and the more knowledge they have, the better they're going to be at reading and writing. But it's also the how we teach, that we can't overload them, and we've got to be crystal clear explainers, and it's the coming together of both of those things. But actually, you're right, Heather, they do need so much knowledge and understanding of the world. And I actually wish that term from early years could kind of be pushed up in a stronger way and given to all year groups, knowledge and understanding of the world in its broadest sense, before it even gets chopped into subject boxes, is absolutely critical to really improve standards. So there is always so much to do.
And it comes back round to the arts and that whole picture. And our real purpose isn't to hit data targets. Our real purpose is to create or help nurture beautiful citizens into the world, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think it's, I think we've lost our way because of the narrow judgments. Did you see the recent data trawl from the National Literacy Trust that was talking about, and they are very good at compiling information, that litmus test information about where we are and how we're feeling. But pupils only 53% of pupils are enjoying writing in school. And you just think, oh, like that means 46% aren't enjoying it. And I think it's big. I think that's enormous. And I think a lot of that, the crushing of the enjoyment is that schools have become over obsessed with this sort of measurement of independent writing. It's just like, actually, we do, we've actually had a gift. I know you're not going to like me saying this, but we have had a gift from the government where they've said we only now are going to moderate and collect, that independent writing measure in year 6. And I think that truly is a gift for us as teachers to go, part of children enjoying writing is that they are ready, they feel capable, they can showcase what they can do. And there seems to be a big gap between, like, I'm teaching you, you're under my wing, but anything that's part of the independent writing process, like planning it or editing it, I'm not actually going to teach you how to do that. I'm just going to sort of put a load of silence in there and just watch you crumble. And I just think there should be so much more, basically, intervention for teaching, like, do kids know how to do this? And the knowing how to is part of enjoyment, because I think there's just like, we've just got to watch them on that. Talk about buses, we just put them on the struggle bus, but there's a point in between. Get trained up kids on how to plan, how to add more to your plan, how to flesh out your plan. And I'm actually going to teach you this in a very granular, finite way, and I'm not going to call that independent writing. No, this is me helping you understand it, and I'm going to measure it less. And I think schools need to do that. This obsession with, like, at the end of every scheme of work or unit, we're going to do independent writing. It's all got to go in a file. Like, everyone needs to calm down. We've got this gift. We don't now need to do it till, like, year 6. So it's not that we don't want to train kids up to that, but it's almost like less measuring, more skilling up.
Yeah, and enjoyment's just for the, let them feel safe in it. It's that unsafe feeling of being, like, if we constantly, like, as teachers, if we feel like we're constantly judged in our teaching, we're over observed, we're over scrutinized in our planning. It's got to go in a file on a Sunday night, and if it, and all our books are taken in all of the time. We don't feel safe, and that fight or flight response comes in, and there's cortisol or whatever. Cause we don't feel safe, and we don't do our best. And if we want to write, we need to feel that we're safe to make mistakes, and often the mistakes are where the joy is in a bit of writing. But
Absolutely.
Have you got a sentence for me, Jane? Have you got a sentence? We haven't done sentence of the week for a bit. I'm looking forward to hearing what you've got to say.
Yeah, I have got a sentence. It's it's kind of a rework of probably a sentence I've said before, but like all things in life, there's kind of nuances, because people have probably heard me talk about thesaurus thinking, which is when we're trying to show children kind of a range of synonyms and options. But I think when we're trying to showcase writing, model and demonstrate it to children, that thesaurus thinking needs to be wider than just words, so that children can see there's lots of different ways, there's not just one right answer, so that we need to kind of extend it out to kind of phrases or even bigger chunks or even like sentence openings. These are all the different ways that you could create tension at this moment when he creeps into this disused house. But, if we're looking at, something like the beach, I don't know why that's come to mind, and the sand in your toes, we'd, and we want to talk about the light coming in, and as the sun sets. It's not just, it could be the light, but it could also be stems of light, sinews of light, rods of golden light, wands of magical light. So it's helping children understand thesaurus thinking can be attached to wider language chunks. And the more we unlock the options for children and show them live in the moment, we get away from that, here's a teacher, here's the amazing Miss Sir with the one right answer. And modelling live in the moment isn't easy, but I think this sort of wider concept of what language can work for us and the differences within it, and trying to group things for kids. If you're talking about the shape of a beach, and we could easily say, the arc of the beach, the hook of the beach, the horseshoe of the beach, the side of the beach, a half moon, golden beach, so it's kind of connections and joins, within their thinking. So they're developing almost like language compartments. But Heather, that I'm always, I'm always worrying about words. Always, but it's actually helping children to see how we can put them into categories and sort them for children so they can see the links, joins and patterns that these are all creating kind of the shape of the beach. That sort
and
of
it's
thing.
the connection to the reader, isn't it? It's like you're giving them this drop down menu of options for describing the beach, the sky, whatever it is, and you're inviting them to, when you're in that moment of shared or modeling writing, what mood does that evoke in you? How are you feeling? All right, what do you want your reader to feel? And really get into that sense of them as writers being in control of their relationship with their audience and their reader. And I think when they can feel that power, that's exciting, and that builds the enjoyment, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's trying to recognise, you talking about safety, when they take risks in writing, and it just takes so much effort for children to get their ideas down. There does need to be kind of a lot of kind of kind. We go back to that phrase, we like that necklace of noticing, that kind of observant noticing by the teacher when they've done something different, because we know them so well, that interface of knowing the children. It's just, I'm arcing back actually to Keith, who was talking about pottery, and it was one teacher who told him, when he was trying to make a pot, and he looked over his shoulder and he said, "You're good at that." And that's all he needed. And that set him. And it was like, that was the first bit of teacher, very specific encouragement that he had, that took him on his life path.
And it's not taken for granted that you think, that child knows they're good, that they don't always. There could be a whole flurry of anxiety in there, and it's so important that personal praise and the noticing of the good without the other stuff with it. There's a place for that, isn't there? But just going, I really like the way that you tried to make the reader frightened by using that word, or I can see what you've done there. Can we play with that together? Yeah,
Yeah.
so important.
And that's the you know, I mean, I'm not doing all subjects, but tomorrow when I'm doing English, I think one of the things that is so exhausting when you're doing sort of that live teaching, but you're also trying to show teachers, you want them to kind of cue into certain things that we're working on as a school. It's actually also that connection with the children where you're trying to give them very small bits of advice and encouragement, because it's not long. You know, that timetable is chopped up so sharply, you know, you know, those slower, deeper moments are very rare, you know. And yeah, I see some schools do some really fascinating things with their timetables. Like they might have red timetable week, yellow timetable week, green timetable week, and it's almost like there's a different focus over time. You know, we're going to create some space here to have a really big push on, you know, art and music in our green week, because you know, it's kind of more of an over time journey than a week by week or a lesson by lesson. But yeah, there's a lot to think about, and I just hope that in the new election and whoever gets appointed to government, there is a lot more protection and consultation with teachers about what we actually need next, because we truly do know best,
Yeah.
because we're living it every day. Yeah.
Yeah. And ever more evidence informed. Um, and it's bringing those two things together, isn't it? The research and the day-to-day practice. Those that are in schools are best place to shape the curriculum, and it is evolving. It is, you know,
Yeah.
as culturally we change,
Yeah.
um, and we can't hark back and say what it was like when kids didn't have screens. We've got them. That's
Yeah.
where we're up to. You know,
Yeah.
it does. We do live differently with those. And I
Yeah.
think we have to build a curriculum for the future, but
Yeah.
also in the kind of COVID backlog, as it were. We can't just say, well, it's gone, that's happened, because we are, you know, still we're seeing that, and we will see the impact of that for a good number of years.
Yeah.
um, I'd like to see that the next government help with the recovery from that as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And actually more direction to kind of social media platforms about what you know, children can access, and more powerful interventions, you know, because we're living an increase in school absence and an increase in home education, you know, which is kind of revealing to us that there is a lot of anxiety in the system, and all teachers are feeling that, you know, in all the classrooms around the country. And how do we turn that down? Because we need to turn the anxiety down to turn the learning up, you know. Lots to think about. But it's almost like we're on it and in it. And sometimes that's the hardest place to be, where we're also trying to problem solve it, you know. We do need just a massive remote control to pause the world so we can have a bit of thinking time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've got summer holidays coming up. That's a mini pause.
Yeah.
Have a
Have
think.
you
Have a
got
think with a cocktail.
Yeah, just on another note, before you hit me up with your sentence, Heather, the deadline to register to vote is the 13th of June, and the deadline for new postal vote applications is the 19th of June. And if you're not sure, if you're in it to win it, just register. That's my advice. And
Yeah, it's
have
really
your
important to
vote.
vote and
Yeah,
look at what's going on in your area. Um,
yes.
and yeah, if you need to tactically vote, then yeah, look into that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. A
Jane,
sentence, Heather.
I haven't got a sentence. I've got two. Is that slightly
Oh,
greedy?
yeah. No,
But
go for it, honey.
they kind of go together. And I'm only little Jane. So my first one is good things come in small parcels. But
Oh.
I'm not talking about my height issues or my tiny feet.
What
I'm
size
talking
are your feet,
about
Heather?
size four. Size four.
Oh, they are tiny. Oh, God
It's
love
great
you.
though because you can get junior shoes. It's just no.
Yeah, but those
Sometimes.
light up trainers look ridiculous, Heather, on you, I've got to
Oh,
say.
don't say that to me. With Birkenstocks with the baby butterflies. No, 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 no. Anyway, small things. I'm talking short stories, Jane. And my second sentence is murder is marvelous because I love a bit of
Yes.
alliteration, of course. So I did say on the last episode about our Reading Rock's big author week that we've got coming up that starts on the 17th of June. And for the Key Stage 2, we're based on this book, The Super Sunny Murder Club. And I've been reading and sharing on social media each day as I've read one of the 13 short stories. And as I've been reading through I've just been thinking about, do you know what? Short stories and mystery, not just murder, have got some really great benefits for the classroom. Summer term is notoriously busy. From the outside world, people think, oh, summer term, you've done your exams and you're just playing rounders all the time. I mean, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? But we
Yeah.
know that there's all kinds of stuff going on, and you've got visits here and visitors and sports days, and let's not
Reports.
mention report writing. It's just
Yeah,
like,
no.
oh, dreaded reports. Have you started yet? Well, I've put the names and the date of births on. Does that count? Yeah, there's so much going on, and and people are going, where are you next year? And
Yeah.
you've got to move classrooms, and you don't even want to
Nightmare.
open your cupboard. Never mind, clear it. But there's a busyness, and actually keeping the thread of a novel can be quite difficult when things are spotty all over the place. So a
Yeah.
short story is great for that, isn't it? Because you can just
Yeah.
pick one up, do it in a day, or across 2 days. That's really nice. Then also this collection, each of them is really quite different. And in front of us, 30 little learners, they're all quite different too, aren't they? And sometimes when you're working your way through a 300, 400 page novel, there's some kids in your class who are not connected with it and
Yeah.
don't particularly like it. Short stories, brilliant. Hopefully, we can have different people connecting and all, still getting inspired and engaged. In the Super Sunny Murder Club, one of the great things is the authors are great at speaking with a current child's voice. Not like me, who you think, and you say stuff to your child and they look at you and just go, oh, mum, that's so embarrassing. I'm sure this doesn't occur to you, Jane. You're very down with the kids. I'm sure your four think you're like super cool mum. But when you say the wrong word and it was like trendy 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But this book, the characters speak with a very modern child's voice, which is great for connection. But then I was also thinking about the fact that it being 13 mysteries, some of them are murders. I mean, that's quite exciting for kids anyway, a bit of gore and a bit of, they love a bit of
Yes.
that. But it was the thought of, you're trying to solve the mystery, aren't you, when you're reading it, and you're looking for the clues, and the more you get into the book, the more your brain gets attuned to that. And I was just thinking, this is just brilliant for teaching inference, but with a bit of
Yes.
stealth, and
Yeah.
just showing them about kind of scanning for clues, collecting the clues, really seeking it out, flicking back and rereading and connecting the dots.
Yeah.
It
Great.
just made me think that we all need a bit of murder in the classroom.
Yeah. Reading Cluedo. It reminds me a little bit of, do you remember Chris Priestley's book, Seven Ghosts? That's a short story collection with a bit of a twist. So yeah, it's you're absolutely right.
Nice.
Yeah, kind of get in and get out. And really engaging and great as models for their own writing as well, because
Absolutely.
that's the amount they'd probably need to produce by the time they're at the top end of Key Stage 2.
Yeah, and I think if you try and take that kind of style of writing, they'll feel excited about writing about a murder or a mystery or something like that as well. I also thought some children are really daunted by a thick book. This has got like 398, something like that, like 400 pages in it. And actually that can seem, for children who find stamina quite tricky, a bit daunting. But when you break it down and you go, look, we just read, that's the, if you're almost just breaking it down into those little step by achievable steps, and
Yes.
showing them that you don't have to read them in that order. You can read differences. Oh, there's so much you could do with this book, and comparing. And then all of these stories are written by brilliant published children's authors. So you can go and look for what else they've written, so you can capture the child. You enjoyed that when it was just a short story, but you like their writing. Let's see if we can get you onto one of their other books. So,
and that is such a good way in, isn't it? Once a child has, switched on to an author, you can unlock all the other things by them. That's definitely one of those really clever hooks that you can, deploy as a teacher to get them switched on to reading.
Yeah. So I'm right excited about Big Author Week, Jane.
Yeah, that's great. And in Big Author Week, will are schools able to link up, even if you're not, the author's gone to a different school? Is it remote? How do schools get involved with it?
So I'll put the link in the show notes. Thanks, Jane. You sign up. We've got quite a lot of people signed up already, which I'm really excited about, because it's free. It's free. It's free. And we've got this book for Key Stage 2, but we've also got a lovely picture book written by Adam and Charlotte Gillane, and illustrated by Gareth Conway for EYFS Key Stage 1. And for the whole week, we're going to be sending you each day a video to share with your class from different authors. Some of the illustrators are getting involved as well, with a little connection and a little challenge. And there's going to be prizes for having a go at some of the challenges, building up to the Friday, where there is a live event, one for Key Stage 2, one for early years Key Stage 1, where your class get to join the Zoom with all of those authors and all those other children who've been taking part, and listen to them and fire your own pupils' questions at them, and interact. And I'll be there as well. I mean, what more could you want?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it really does make a difference when children meet authors. It really does. And they begin to understand the humanness of it, and just unlock some of the ways that the author writes, because they begin to tell their story, and actually, I was just only recently watching Neil Gaiman talk about the editing process, and he wasn't, but has returned to being old school with his writing, an old-fashioned notebook, fountain pens, and all computers away, all phones away, an old style dictionary, so he's not forced to go on his phone and then end up in an eBay auction or something. And it's that sort of full immersive process. So it's great for kids to listen to how authors do it.
Absolutely. I find it utterly inspiring every time I hear an author speak, and you feel somehow personally connected to that book. And when kids get that as well, that's just a lovely little layer of inspiration for them. But
yes.
so hopefully we'll get more people joined on. Jane,
Yeah,
have you
absolutely. Sounds great.
got
Yes.
before you share your wonder of words moment,
Yeah.
last time I read that gorgeous sentence that I wanted you to put up in lights from
Yes.
Pinch Perkins, which is out this Thursday,
Yep.
written by Kathy Fitzgerald. And I was chatting to Kathy, as you do, and
Yep.
she was delighted that we'd mentioned it on the podcast and loved our reaction to her sentence. But she said that was actually her second favourite sentence in the book, and
That
how
is
lovely
fascinating.
that it had stood out to me.
Oh.
So that was nice.
Do you
Have you
know
got
her
something?
first? Do you know her
She did. She
first
told me,
sentence?
which she didn't tell me the specific sentence, but she told me it's when they're on the hairline train and they're having hot chocolate. And she said, "I just wanted to continue that moment so they could just
Yeah.
be on, on this special train line with the hot chocolate forever." But it's interesting that sentence had just struck me, and I'd thought of you as well.
Oh no, that is so fascinating, isn't it? I love that, the behind the scenes edit of why and what and what their favourites, your favourites. Pushing it out to children, manipulating it further. I'm going to read. It's the most delicious picture book by Jess McGregan, and it's called Kind. It's actually a poem, and it's a call to care for every creature. And I'm not going to read it all, but this book is just so vibrant and beautiful. I don't know if you can see that, Heather.
Oh,
Just
nice.
gorgeous. Yeah, it's gorge. Be kind to those who flutter, the giant and the small. Even things of beauty started with a crawl. Be kind to those who weave, they knit and knot with ease. A home in silver silk, dancing on the breeze. Be kind to those with shells, it's where they like to hide. The hardest on the surface are softest deep inside. Be kind to those with fins as they dart below the reef. A symphony of colours beyond the eye's belief. It's just stunning.
It's gorgeous.
If you're doing a nature topic or an animal topic, it's just stunning. And the fact that there's a whole group of animal species that are then explored in this lovely little kind of stanza rendition, it'd just be a great poem to remodel. Love it. Really good one.
Gorgeous. Oh, I like that, the way you brought me a bit of poetry, because what I've brought for you, not sure if you've seen this, Jane, is Poetry Comics by Grant Snyder. Have you seen it?
No.
Gorgeous. Bit tricky to get a copy of. Hopefully there are still copies out there. But it is just a collection of poems written in different ways, where am I? There we go. In comic format, and it's split up into the seasons, and I've chosen one from spring for you, and it's called Becoming, but it could be used as a writing model, as can many of them. But I loved the idea of putting a poem into a comic, and just a different route for children to enjoy writing, as we've talked about, maybe to collect their ideas and put them there in a different way. This is definitely a book to have a visualizer in the classroom whilst you're reading it. But this one is called Becoming. A bulb is becoming a flower. The rain is becoming a puddle. An egg is becoming a bird. A puddle is becoming blue sky. Today is becoming better and better. The fading light is becoming the night. The words are becoming a poem. What are you becoming? Whatever you set your heart to.
That's lovely.
It's cute, isn't it?
I think I'm becoming a bit more poorly. I think that's what I'm becoming. I think I'm going to have to go and have a lie down in a dark room.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't feel very well today. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Is that the alarm?
Someone's calling you to say, do you need a get out route of this podcast? Do you need an emergency?
The alarm's gone. That's the end of that. That told me.
Well, maybe it's time for you to go and top up on drugs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make sure you're registered to vote, and then we will wait to be overcome with all of your emails and maybe talk about some of those topics next week.
Oh, Heather, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for your wonder of words. Thank you for your time. And thank you for always being such a little positive zing of bookishness.
You always get in there first, Jane, and say such lovely things. And then I feel like I have to go, I like it. I like doing it with you too, Jane. But I genuinely feel a little bit brighter and lighter when we've recorded the podcast, and I hope that's how our listeners feel, especially if you're just pulling up into your car park space at work and you're like, yes, I'm ready to go and teach now.
Yeah. All right, Heather. Well, it's big love from Heather.
And it's Heartbursts from Jane. See you all next time.
See you next week. Bye.